What's up everyone, my name is Frank, hope you're having a great day today. I'm back with another eXtremeRate tutorial video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to install the Hope Reamap Kit for the Xbox Series X or S controller. This is a DIY kit coming in at around $40 USD. Gives you 4 remappable back buttons. They are a simple mimic function. Total of 14 stock controller buttons can be remapped, which is very cool. The kit does come with the tools required to complete assembly, which is amazing. Besides 4, and you will need a soldering iron and some solder. Yes, soldering is required to complete assembly. There is no workaround. It is a must, but do not worry. For those of you who have never soldered before or who are still very nervous to solder, I will be breaking down the entire process into simple, easy to follow steps for y'all. So smash that like button and let's get to it. As always, I'll link timestamps down below in the description so y'all can skip to whichever part of the video that you want to see first. If you're looking to purchase the Hope Reamap Kit or any of the eXtremeRate products for that matter, head on over to the gamingcobra.com website and use code SPARA at checkout to save 10% off of your purchase. I want all you amazing viewers to be part of my Discord community, so I'll be leaving a link down below in the description for you all to join. And you'll also notice links to my social medias. So if you want to see what I'm up to when I'm not on YouTube, or you just want to say hi, make sure to give me a follow. And just a friendly reminder, I do stream every Saturday and Sunday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure to subscribe, press that bell to be notified for future videos. For those of you who have yet to smash that like button, now's your chance. I appreciate it. Let's get to unboxing. In typical eXtremeRate fashion, the kit does come packaged in a cardboard box. Up front and center, we have the modified back shell, which we'll be installing. It does come bubble wrapped. I like that. Keeps it nice and safe during transport. Followed by the grips. You are able to choose the color. Followed by the back buttons, which we'll be installing. Up next, we have screws, which are required to put this kit together. Very important. Next up, we have the tools required to put this kit together. You will notice there are 3 separate screwdrivers. Do not lose these screwdrivers, very important. Next up, we have the paddle switches and board, followed by additional components which we'll be installing. Last but not least, we have the 1-year warranty card. Very easy to claim this. All you have to do is post a picture or video on social media and make sure to tag and shout out eXtremeRate. Super easy to do. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna clear off my desk, I'm gonna organize all the components, and we'll get started with putting this kit together. Let's gain some confidence and start work on the back shell. We are going to install the button for the remap switch. This slides into place. Make sure to slide it either to the left side or to the right side. We are next going to install the back button motherboard. Make sure the switch is either to the left or to the right side because it will slide into the hole of the button. Press firmly down, clip this into place, and give a quick check just to make sure that remap switch and button are working together. Fasten the motherboard down using the smallest of the screws provided in the kit, and you are going to be using the black screwdriver. Press firmly down and secure the 3 screws into place. Give a last quick check just to make sure the button is working before moving on and installing the housing for the back button switches. The back buttons will clip on to that housing. There are cutouts for the metal prongs to clip into, like so. Take your time with this. You don't want the wires getting pinched or getting caught, so make sure you're properly placing them as I show in the video. With them installed, firmly press down and guide the housing into place. It will fit nicely. It goes in one way. We will have to screw in the 3 screws, and we're using the medium size screws provided in the kit, again using the black screwdriver. Give the back buttons a quick check before moving on and repeating the exact same steps for the other side. The left side are the K3 and K4 back buttons, and the right side is the K1 and K2 back buttons. Again, make sure the wires are not caught or pinched, neatly tucked away. Give the back buttons a last quick check before we install the actual button that our finger touches and presses onto. These go in one way. This left-hand side is the K3 and K4 back buttons. Align the slots and press in. It will clip into place. The other side is the K1 and K2 back buttons. We are next going to take apart the Xbox controller with our plastic prying tool, get up underneath the grips and slowly work your way around unclipping the clips. You could also simply pull up on the grip to remove it. We are then going to remove the battery cover, and we have to unscrew the 5 screws holding this controller together, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and 1 hidden in the middle behind the sticker. We are using the largest of the orange screwdrivers. Poke a hole through and start unscrewing. With all 5 screws removed, we are able to remove the front shell, and we're also able to remove the back shell. With the back shell removed, we will have to remove a component for the battery. With the plastic prying tool in hand, get up underneath at the bottom and unclip it. Press firmly down to remove this component. We will then reinstall this component onto our new back shell. Make sure the plus and minus parts are on the inside of the battery compartment, like so. We are then going to gently pull up on the thumbsticks to remove them. We will then have to unsolder the 8 wires. Make sure to take a picture to remember the location of each wire. With a hot soldering iron, press down onto the soldering point and gently pull on the wire to unsolder it. This will take some time, but as long as your soldering iron is nice and hot, press down firmly to melt the solder and pull away the wire. Unclip the 2 center wires just with your plastic prying tool. Get up underneath it to unclip. We will then unscrew the 2 side screws holding down the motherboard in place. Gently pull up to remove the motherboard. We are then going to remove the mic port, followed by 2 additional screws, 1 in the middle and 1 on the lower left side corner. With those 2 screws removed, we will then install this component. Make sure the writing is facing upwards. You should see the double-sided tape like so. Guide this component into place and press down firmly. Make sure to align the 2 screw holes and screw back in the 2 screws securing this component onto the motherboard. There is a total of 17 points which we will need to solder. With a hot soldering iron, add some solder to the tip of your soldering iron and press down onto the first point for 1 second. If you see that it was not enough to create a great contact point, add some more solder onto the tip of your soldering iron and press back down onto the point for another second or 2. We are essentially melting the solder into that point to create a strong connection. Take your time with this. You do not want to rush. Add some more solder to the tip of your soldering iron. Press back down onto the point for another second or two to melt that solder in and create a great contact point. As long as you take your time with this, you should have no issues whatsoever. If you need to go over the point another 2 or 3 times, by all means feel free to do so. You will eventually get the hang of how long you need to press down and how much solder you need to add to the tip of your soldering iron. You could also use another technique by pressing your soldering iron down onto the point you need to solder and feed in the solder in order to melt it in. Both ways will work just fine. And here is the final product. All 17 points have been soldered. This is what it should look like when you are finished. You don't need much solder, just enough to secure it into place. Reinstall the mic port, followed by the thumbstick motherboard. It will clip into place. Make sure to screw back those 2 side screws. With the next component in hand to solder, place it onto the motherboard in the proper orientation. The writing will be facing up. This goes in one way, so make sure it is placed correctly. I'm going to add some tape to the sides of this component to secure it down. It will help with the soldering and prevent it from moving around. There are a total of 6 soldering points that we need to solder. We are going to repeat the exact same steps with a hot soldering iron. Add some solder to the tip of the soldering iron and press down on the point that you want to solder for a second or 2 to melt in the solder and create a good connection point. Take your time with this. Go over the same point 2 or 3 times as needed to create that solid connection. I'm using the plastic prying tool just to lift up on the parts that I did solder in. If I see that's lifting up, then I know I have to go back in and re-solder that point. This is the finished product. We are next going to test our soldering connections. With the latch open, slide in the flex cable and bring the latch back down in order to secure it in. With our test flex cable, place it in and bring down the latch to secure it. Make sure this is in the correct orientation. The blue part is facing up. We're going to take our test motherboard, slide the test flex cable in and secure it. I went ahead and I reconnected those 2 center wires. With the controller plugged into power, you will see the test motherboard light up. If you see the LEDs all lit, that means that the soldering points were done correctly. Each of these LED lights correspond and are numbered according to the soldering point. Now, if you see that a light is not lit up, as you see up at the top in the middle, one of my lights is not lit up, that means you have to go back to that soldering point and re-solder it. I went ahead, I fixed my soldering point, we're all good, and we can continue. Unclip the latch just to remove the flex cable, peel back the double-sided tape, and guide this part into place. Press down firmly to lock in that 2-way tape. This goes in one way, so make sure it is properly placed so everything is aligned correctly. With the latch in the up position, slide back in the flex cable and press down the latch to secure it into place. We are then going to resolder those 8 wires. This is where that picture comes into handy if you guys forgot how the wires go into place. So from bottom to top, it's black wire, red wire from the motors, followed by another black wire and a gray wire up at the top. With a nice hot soldering iron, bring the wire close to the soldering point and press down on the wire and on the solder with the hot soldering iron to melt the solder and solder that wire into place. Take your time with this, but follow along as I'm doing so in the video. Make sure those center cables are properly in place, clip them in, reinstall the thumbsticks. These go in one way, so align the grooves and press down. Reassemble the front shell. We are then going to connect the flex cable for the back buttons. Make sure the latch is in the up position, slide in the flex cable and press down to secure that flex cable. Take your time with this part. We are slowly going to press down the back shell onto the main housing. Make sure these metal prongs are facing up because they will slide through the back shell. This is for the battery compartment. Make sure they are on the inside. Tuck the wires neatly on the inside of the shell and slowly press down. Make sure you are not pinching any wires. Take your time with this, and the two halves will clip into place. We are then going to screw back those 5 screws, 2 screws up at the top, 2 screws down at the bottom, and 1 screw in the middle. Make sure you are tightly fastening these screws together. This is what's holding the controller together. You could go ahead, reinstall the battery cover. You could use the one provided in the kit or the original battery cover. Likewise with the grips, you can use the ones that come with the controller or the ones that come in the kit. To install the grips, align the tabs, start down at the bottom corner of the grip and slowly press in to clip in the tabs, working your way up the grip to secure it into place. Repeat the exact same steps for the other side. Go ahead, check the controller, make sure all the buttons feel great to use. Stand back and give yourself a round of applause. Nice job done. Remapping the back buttons is a simple, straightforward, and easy process. First, we got to make sure our controller is on and synchronized to our console. Next, we're going to have to enter remapping mode. In order to do so, I'm going to flick the remapping switch to the opposite side. The blue light will turn on, which signifies that we have entered remapping mode. Next, I'm going to have to choose a back button that I want to remap. And I'm also going to have to pick a stock button that I wanted to mimic. Example, we will remap A to K4. I'm going to press and hold A, press and hold K4 for a few seconds. You'll see the blue light flash. I'm going to release. That signifies that my K4 has now been remapped and is mimicking A. I'm going to follow the exact same process to remap the remaining 3 back buttons. Now, in order to save our configuration, we are going to flick the switch to the other position. The blue light turns off, which signifies that our settings have been saved. Now, in order to clear a back button to reassign it, we must first enter remapping mode. Flick the switch to the other position. The blue light turns on, which signifies that we are in remapping mode. Next, pick the back button that you want to clear. In this case, I'm going to pick K4. I'm also going to have to choose the stock button that it is mimicking. I'm going to hold that combination for a few seconds. So I'm going to hold A, K4 for a couple of seconds. You will notice the blue light will flash in red a few times, which signifies that I have just cleared my K4 button. Now it is ready to be remapped to another stock button. In order to save our configuration, we are going to flick the remapping switch to the other position. Blue light turns off, which signifies that we have successfully saved our back buttons. Now, you guys are ready to game. I will start off by saying that this kit is fairly difficult to install, definitely requires some patience and some attention to detail when it comes to the soldering, but as long as you all take your time with it and follow my steps in the video, you'll have no issues whatsoever assembling this kit. And let me tell you, the end results are amazing. Solid and robust product all around. The components fit perfectly together as if they are OEM, which I like a lot. The 4 back buttons feel great to use. They're placed in such a way that accommodates different hand size and different grips on the controller. This is my natural grip on the Xbox controller. As you can see, my 2 top fingers are perfectly placed on those 2 top back buttons, but my lower fingers are catching the bottom half of the 2 bottom back buttons. I did have my doubts about how comfortable that would feel when gaming. I do, however, wish that they were placed a bit lower down and more to the edge of the controller. I think that'd feel a bit more comfortable for me. But nonetheless, after gaming with this controller for many hours, I felt no discomfort whatsoever using all 4 back buttons. My fingers never slipped off of the 2 lower back buttons, which is great. They stayed planted on them, which I was very, very impressed about. The back buttons feel solid to use, and let me tell you, they will endure many hours of gaming. You want that in a product. You want it to feel solid when using it. Let me tell you, I'm very impressed with this kit so far. The responsiveness of the back buttons is impressive, and listen to this. Oh yeah, very satisfying click indeed. I like that. I like when they give you that nice click and that responsiveness. Perfect product all around. And if you are in the market for a back button kit for the Xbox Series X or S controller, this Hope Reamap Kit by eXtremeRate is the way to go. If you all enjoyed watching this video, make sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and share with your friends. Greatly appreciated. If you are new to my channel, check me out for the very first time. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my content, and don't forget to press that bell to become part of my notification squad. Sparrow Troopers, you guys are amazing. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I appreciate the viewers. You guys are amazing. Shout out and thank you to my sponsors as well. You are all amazing. Thank you so much for the love and for the support. Everyone, have a great rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this video, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.